All right, we're back. I was having some technical difficulties with the audio that last little section, so we're going to revisit. Again, Carlos and Star were bonding over some frozen yogurt. Star was just busted by her mother over the phone for faking menstrual cramps or feminine issues. And Carlos is just trying to get Star to open up and figure out what's really going on. And he says, "So talk. I pushed Captain Crunch around my froyo. Khalil's funeral is tomorrow." "I know. I don't know if I should go." "What? Why?" "Because, I say." Sorry, I was having timer issues. Because, I say, I hadn't seen him in months before the party. "You still should go," he says. "You'll regret it if you don't." I thought about going, not sure if it's a good idea considering. So even Carlos isn't sure if he should go to the funeral. He's having some own concerns about code switching. He's won Carlos at work defending the police officer side of things. But when he's around his family, he especially wants to support Star because they have a close connection. So he's struggling with his own dual code switching identities. There's silence. "Are you really friends with that cop?" I ask. "I wouldn't say friends. No, colleagues." So colleagues are coworkers. "But you're on a first name basis, right?" "Yes," he says. I stare at my cup. Uncle Carlos was my first dad in some ways. Daddy went to prison around the time I realized that Mommy and Daddy weren't just names, but they meant something. I talked to Daddy on the phone every week, but he didn't want me and Seven to ever set foot in a prison, so I didn't see him. I saw Uncle Carlos, though. He fulfilled the role and then some. Once I asked if I could call him Daddy. He said no, because I already had one, but being my uncle was the best thing he could ever be. Ever since uncle has meant almost as much as Daddy. My uncle, on a first name basis with that cop. "Baby girl, I don't know what to say." His voice is gruff. "I wish I could. I'm sorry this happened. I am." "Why haven't they arrested him?" "Cases like this are difficult." "It's not that difficult," I say. "He killed Khalil." I know," he says and wipes his face. "I know." "Would you have killed him?" He looks at me. "Star, I can't answer that." "Yeah, you can." "No, I can't. I'd like to think I wouldn't have, but it's hard to say unless you're in that situation, feeling what that officer is feeling." "He pointed his gun at me," I blurt out. "What?" My eyes prickle like crazy. Prickle. If you imagine like getting goosebumps on your arm when your little fine hairs stick up, your eyes prickle. Those hairs are prickly. That's what she's feeling in her eyes, too. While we were waiting on help, excuse me, my eyes prickle like crazy. While we were waiting on help to show up, I say, my words wobbling. He kept it on me until somebody else got there, like I was a threat. I wasn't the one with the gun. Uncle Carlos stares at me for the longest time. "Baby girl," he reaches for my hand. He squeezes it and moves to my side of the table. His arm goes around me, and I bury my face in his rib cage, tears and snot wetting his shirt. "I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry." He kisses my hair with each apology, but I know that's not enough. Now, chapter 8 is a pretty emotionally charged chapter. I just want to give everyone a little cautionary note with that. This is a very difficult funeral for a number of people. So you may want to grab a box of tissues or just be prepared. Chapter 8's a tough one. Funerals aren't for dead people, they're for the living. I doubt Khalil cares what songs are sung or what the preacher says about him. He's in a casket. Nothing can change that. My family and I leave 30 minutes before the funeral starts, but the parking lot at Christ Temple Church is already full. Some kids from Khalil's school stand around in RIP Khalil t-shirts with his face on them. A guy tried to sell some to us yesterday, but Mama said we weren't wearing them today. T-shirts are for the streets, not for church. So here we are, getting out the car in our dresses and suits. My parents hold hands and walk in front of me and my brothers. We used to go to Christ Temple when I was younger, but Mama got tired of how people here act like they're don't stink. And now we've got to this diverse church in Riverton. Now we go to this diverse church in Riverton Hills, meaning multiple cultures, not just one race. Way too many people go there, and praise and worship is led by a white guy on a guitar. Oh, and service lasts less than an hour. Going back in Christ Temple is like when you go back to your old elementary school after you've been to high school. When you were younger, it seemed big, but when you go back and realize how small it is, people fill up the tiny foyer. It has cranberry colored carpet and 2 burgundy high back chairs. One time, Mama brought me out here because I was acting up. She made me sit in one of those chairs and told me not to move until service was over. I didn't. A painting of the pastor hung above the chairs, and I could have sworn he was watching me. All these years later, and they still have that creepy painting up. Have you ever looked at a poster or a picture on the wall and the eyes seem to follow you wherever you move? That's the feeling she's having, and it's not a pleasant one. There's a line to sign a book for Khalil's family, and another line to go into the sanctuary to see him. I catch a glimpse of the white casket at the front of the sanctuary, but I can't make myself try to see more than that. I'll see him eventually, but I don't know. I want to wait until I don't have any other choice. Pastor Eldridge greets people in the doorway of the sanctuary. He's wearing a long white robe with gold crosses on it. He smiles at everyone. I don't know why they made him look so creepy in that painting. He's not creepy at all. Mama glances back at me, Seven, and Sakani like she's making sure we look nice. Then she and Daddy go up to Pastor Eldridge. Morning, Pastor, she says. Lisa, so good to see you. He kisses her cheek and shakes Daddy's hand. Maverick, good to see you as well. We miss you all around here. I bet you all do, Daddy mumbles. Another reason we left Christ Temple. Daddy doesn't like that they take up so many offerings, so the money that goes back to the church. But he doesn't even go to our diverse church. And these must be the children, Pastor Eldridge says. He shakes Seven and Sakani's hands and kisses my cheek. I feel more of his bristly mustache than anything. Y'all sure have grown since I last saw you. I remember when the little one was an itty-bitty thing wrapped up in a blanket. How's your mama doing, Lisa? She's good. She misses coming here, but the drive is a little long for her. I side-eye the heck, we're in church, out of her. Nana stopped coming to Christ Temple because of some incident between her and Mother Wilson over Deacon Rankin. It ended with Nana storming off from the church picnic, banana pudding in hand. That's all I know, though. Banana pudding. We understand, says Pastor Eldridge. Let her know we're praying for her. He looks at me with an expression I know too well. Pity. Miss Rosalie told me you were with Khalil when this happened. I'm so sorry you had to witness it. Thank you. It's weird saying that, like I'm stealing sympathy from Khalil's family. So Star's still struggling with her own grief. She feels she's got to be strong and not letting herself truly feel. Mama grabs my hand. We're going to find some seats. Nice talking to you, Pastor. Daddy wraps his arm around me, and the three of us walk into the sanctuary together. My legs tremble, and a wave of nausea hits me. We aren't even at the front of the viewing line yet. People go up to the casket in twos, so I can't see Khalil at all. Soon there are 6 people in front of us. 4, 2. She's keeping count as she's getting nervous, getting closer and closer to the casket. I keep my eyes closed the whole time with the last 2. Then it's our turn. My parents lead me up. Baby, open your eyes, Mama says. I do. It looks more like a mannequin than Khalil in the casket. His skin is darker and his lips are pinker than they should be because of the makeup. Khalil would have had a fit if he knew they put that on him. He's wearing a white suit and a gold cross pendant. The real Khalil had dimples. This mannequin version of him doesn't. Mama brushes tears from her eyes. Daddy shakes his head. Seven and Sakani stare. That's not Khalil, I tell myself, like it wasn't Natasha. Natasha's mannequin wore a white dress with pink and yellow flowers all over it. So Star's having a flashback to when she was seeing Natasha in a coffin at 10 years old. It had on makeup too. Mama told me, she looks asleep, but when I squeezed her hand, her eyes never opened. Daddy carried me out of the sanctuary as I screamed for her to wake up. Again, still the flashback about Natasha. Star was screaming for Natasha to wake up. We move so the next set of people can look at Khalil's mannequin. So we're back at Khalil's in real time. An usher is about to direct us to some seats, but this lady with natural twists gestures toward the front row of the friends side, right in front of her. No clue who she is, but she must be somebody if she's giving orders like that. And she must know something about me if she thinks my family deserves the front row. We take our seats and I focus on the flowers instead. There's a big heart made out of red and white roses, a K made out of calla lilies, and an arrangement of flowers in orange and green, Khalil's favorite colors. When I run out of flowers, I look at the funeral program. It's full of pictures of Khalil. from the time he was a curly-haired baby up until a few weeks ago with friends I don't recognize. There are pictures of me and him from years ago, and one with us and Natasha. All three of us smile, trying to look gangster with our peace signs, the Hood trio, tighter than the inside of Voldemort's nose. Another Harry Potter reference. Now, I'm the only one left. I close the program. Let us stand. Pastor Eldridge's voice echoes throughout the sanctuary. The organist starts playing, and everyone stands. And Jesus said, "Do not let your hearts be troubled," he says, coming down the aisle. "You believe in God, believe also in me." Miss Rosalie marches behind him. Cameron walks alongside her, gripping her hand. Tears stain his chubby cheeks. He's only 9, a year older than Sakani. Had one of those bullets hit me, that could have been my little brother crying like that. Khalil's Aunt Tammy holds Miss Rosalie's other hand. Miss Brenda is wailing behind them, so crying really loudly, wearing a black dress that once belonged to Mama. Her hair has been combed into a ponytail. 2 guys, I think they're Khalil's cousins, hold her up. It's easier to look at the casket. My father's house has many rooms. If that were not so, would I have told you that I am going there to prepare a place for you? Pastor Eldridge says, and if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me, that you also may be where I am. At Natasha's funeral, her mom passed out when she saw her in the casket. Somehow, Khalil's mama and grandma don't. I want to make one thing clear today, Pastor Eldridge says once everyone is seated. No matter the circumstances, this is a homegoing celebration. Weeping may endure for a night, but how many of you know that joy? He doesn't even finish, and people shout. The choir sings upbeat songs, and almost everyone claps and praises Jesus. Mama sings along and waves her hands. Khalil's grandma and auntie clap and sing too. A praise break even starts, and people run around the sanctuary and do the Holy Ghost two-step, as Seven and I call it, their feet moving like James Brown and their bent arms flapping like chicken wings. But if Khalil's not celebrating, how can they? And why praise Jesus since he let Khalil get shot in the first place? A very poignant question. How can we praise someone good and holy when something bad happened to another good person? I think we've all questioned that at some point in life. How come bad things happen to good people? Well, it's natural to have those questions and those feelings when you're going through grief. We're going to pause there for now. I want you guys to go and take a quick break, grab something to drink, give someone a hug. Because this is such an important chapter, I will be continuing with Dear today. There'll be a couple more links. Technically, there'll be tomorrow's reading, but you'll have them available. And we'll see you back here with more links in a few minutes. Take care of each other. Be kind. Know that you are loved. Go tell someone you love them.